Welcome everyone to our wonderful Saturday lesson. I hope you're having a great day and I hope that your week was also amazing. Today we have a different kind of lesson. And it is a very cultural kind of lesson. So, if you are just joining, I would like to welcome you to Interactive English Saturday lesson. Please tell us where you are from and what is your name, and introduce yourself a little bit, either if you're with us now live or if you are joining us later. Please write it in the comments. Welcome Vivian, welcome Furkat, welcome Estella, Anita, Junior, Patricia. Yeah, long time no see. I know. So it's glad to see you here, and I hope you're having a great day. So I want to explain a little bit about the lesson today. It is a cultural lesson, like I said, and I think it's very important that when we talk about language that we also talk about culture, because it's not just words that form a language. There's so much more that comes with it. So, that being said, I am talking to you today about things that surprised me about the US. So if you're just joining, please, no, you're not late, we just began. We're talking about the things that surprised me about the US. So some of you may know that I moved to the US when I was 15. This was in 2002, I believe. It was in 2002. So everything I am telling you today has to do with my personal experience and what was surprising to me. I have to mention this because maybe I noticed things that other people haven't. Or maybe these things are more important to me than to other people. So if there's anything else that if you've traveled to the US and you've noticed that was surprising to you, please write it down. And I will remind this to you throughout the lesson. But again, this is my experience. The picture that I'm showing you right now, this was taken in April of 2016. It was the day when I got my citizenship. Yay! So that was a really fun day. That is me with an American flag and a flower that I got from my colleagues at work. So again, welcome. If you're just joining, in the comments, write down your name, where you're writing from, and if you're watching this later, please do that as well. Yeah, I was a teenager, yes, when I moved to the US. A very young teenager. I was just starting high school. So let me tell you some of the things. My favorite one is this one, by far. So before I moved, oh gosh, if you've seen American movies, especially ones from like the 90s or the 80s, you always see blonde people wearing jeans or something like that. And I, for some reason, thought that everyone in the US was going to be blonde and white. I mean, I knew about African Americans, but I didn't know that there would be like other kinds of ethnicities. I had no idea, and I was in for a huge surprise. And this is my favorite part about the U.S., and it is what I miss the most now, because where I lived in California, there was a huge diversity. There were Korean, there were Japanese, there were Vietnamese, there were people from Mexico, there were people from India, there are people from, you name the country, there were a lot of places, they were there, and it was amazing. And let me tell you why that was amazing. First of all, because everyone has a great story. So they have stories from back home, they have stories about immigration, they have stories about culture, different customs, traditions. And it was really great for me because I was used to a lot of European traditions, but not so much about other places. And this maybe should have gone before because I love food. If you know me, you know I love food. So there is a lot of diversity that comes with that in food. So you get to try, if you're in the US, especially where I was in California, You get to try a lot of amazing like Mexican food and a lot of amazing Korean food and a lot of amazing Vietnamese food. So you get to try all of these different foods, and I loved it. I loved it. So that was surprising because I did not expect it, but it was wonderful. So, um, so I moved to the US, just to answer a quick question. I moved to the US because my parents decided to go there. I already spoke English. I learned it in school. I was already practicing and speaking um, before I moved. So it's been it's been going on for many years. Um, Wes is in the comments. He's somewhere out there. Okay, so oh, I forgot to mention one thing. The other thing that's wonderful is that with this diversity is that people celebrate different holidays. So even if maybe you have no experience in different cultures and their holidays, maybe especially in high school, they'll have organized events, or in university, or you'll meet friends and you'll get to participate in other people's holidays. So like I said, this was wonderful for me. I learned so much. I met a few people, and it was just something really nice because I think the US is a unique place in that. And I miss that because now in Europe, where I am at least, I just don't have that. Even though we have other countries here. It's not to the same extent. Okay, so now I want to talk about bathrooms because this may be something that people don't notice or they don't care, but I noticed that it was surprising to me at the time. It was a good thing again. So there are many in the US. Many public bathrooms are free, and there are a lot of them. So you can go in a lot of malls, even in the park. In a lot of places, they'll just have a lot of free, clean public bathrooms. And here in Europe, where I am, it's a little bit different. There are clean, but you usually have to pay for them. So I think that was my surprise. Um, and the other thing that I was going to mention that I think a lot of people hate, and I was uncomfortable too, for the US, is that the stalls, like the doors, don't go all the way up and down. They're like, they cover partially. So it takes a little bit of getting used to, and I think it's a little strange. So you can see people's feet, which can be a little weird. It was very surprising. I got used to it, but it was it was a little funny. So okay, so now I have a question for you guys that I'd like to ask you. So please write it down in the comments. Do you have any international friends? So if you have any international friends, friends from other countries, write down where they're from, and yeah, just where they're from, and if you have any. Because I'm going to tell you the story about my experience with being in the US and making friends. So please write that down in the comments. Do you have any international friends? And if yes, where are they from? And I'm going to just yes. Okay, so this was my experience with making friends in the US. Even when I first moved there, and it took a while after that. I didn't think it was easy. In fact, I thought it was really difficult. I think Americans are a friendly people. They're friendly. They like to smile. They like to greet, but I think that they're not always, like I put here, they're not always inclusive. This was my experience, at least. Maybe I was in the wrong place, but it felt like I mentioned before, you have these different ethnic groups. You have, like I said, Koreans and Indians and Vietnamese, but it seemed to me like many times these ethnic groups or people like to stick to their groups. And it's hard if you're not part of this group sometimes to join a group. So that was difficult for me. Like, I didn't want to hang out with other Romanians. I wanted to meet other people. And that was a little bit difficult in the beginning. So it can be hard. And so that's been my experience. It's not always easy. But Yeah, I want to see what you guys have answered. Yeah, you have friends from India, very good. Friend from Trinidad and Tobago, wonderful. And everywhere except Antarctica. Well, that's wonderful. Turkish friends, yeah. So, I think the world's changing a little bit, and we're becoming more international, more globalized. So it's really wonderful to hear that you guys are making friends from different places. Honestly, I think we have so much to learn. I think we all learn from each other. So for me, this is really important to have international friends. Okay. Now I have another question, and it's about food. Ta-da! So, inadvertently, I think if you think of America or United States, I think about fast food, and I'm sure a lot of other people do too. So I wanted to ask you before we talk about my experience with international food, I'm sorry, with fast food, is what kind of fast food do you have in your country? Because I know that it's not going to be burgers and fries. Okay, so what fast food do you have in your country? What do people eat when they want something fast and on the go? Maybe they had a little bit to drink. Um, what do people eat? What is fast food in your country? Please write that down, and I'll tell you my experience with fast food. So before I moved to the US, I thought that I didn't realize how important fast food was. I thought it was one of those things that you just have from time to time, and um, you have it like a treat or something. That was extremely surprising for me because people really eat it, and they eat it. Some people eat it daily. It's just something that is part of the culture that I think is really, really ingrained. So that was really surprising for me. The other thing, again, I was lucky enough to be raised on organic food, and my mom's an amazing cook, and she was cooking all of these amazing foods from scratch. Everything was made from nothing. Well, in the US, that's not the case. And I've seen that many, many people use things like a cake mix, which is pre mixed ingredients, and you buy it in a box, which I'm still very surprised by. Or many frozen foods, or canned foods, or processed foods. That was a little bit shocking. Like, for example, for cookies, they have this roll, and then you just open it, and then you cut the cookies. It's like in a log of cookies. You cut them, and then you just put them on a sheet and then bake them. Like, you don't have to. You can if you want to, which I do, but you can just put them in there and they're ready. So that was in 2002, and even later, that's still very surprising to me. So let me see what you guys answered. Tapioca, tacos, quesadillas, tamales. Oh my god, you guys are making me hungry. Falafel. Oh gosh, pesel. I hope I don't mispronounce that. Okay, very good question. What does it mean from scratch? It means from the beginning. So some foods, especially nowadays, if you go to like in a frozen aisle, you can find things like a frozen pizza dough, and you can just buy it. Well, from scratch means you make it. You add the flour, you add the oil, the salt, you mix it together, and so on. So that's what it means from scratch, when you start from the beginning. So that is what I want to talk. So fast food. Now, I put a picture here of my favorite fast food place. So it's not McDonald's. In fact, I hate McDonald's. I cannot stand it. But because I moved to California, this is a franchise that is started in California, Southern California, and then it kind of spread up to, I think it's in Oregon, Nevada. I'm not sure about Texas, maybe not, but it's kind of in the west, the southwest. If you ever go, try it. It's burgers, In-N-Out Burger, and I think it's really good. It's actually really cheap too, and I think it's higher quality. Now, I will I will tell you guys, I don't really like fast food. I'm not a fast food person. Like I said, I was raised on organic ingredients. I love healthier food. So I'm not a huge fan of fast food, but I do love this place. I like a good burger, and this place, I think In and Out makes a really good burger. So, of course, Wes had to share that his favorite fast food is is Chick-fil-A. It's okay. I'm sorry, Wes. It's but thank you guys so much for sharing. Yeah, exactly. So I think the key is a varied diet. Americans eat more than I thought, but they are aware of being fit, and I'll talk about that later because that was a pleasant surprise. Okay, so moving on. Okay, you need a car. So this was very surprising because when I first there's a song actually that goes. I'm not gonna sing it because my voice will scare most of you, but it goes like nobody walks in LA, and it's so true. People don't walk. Everyone has a car. You'll see like two, three people walking, maybe. There really aren't many people walking because everyone is driving, and it drove me crazy. The traffic is terrible. I'm talking about LA. This is not always the case, but you do generally need a car in the US. And the reason why is because the distances are big, and places are spread out. So, it's in order to get to a point A to point B by foot, it would take you 2 hours, but if you take a car, well, it might take you 2 hours because of traffic. No, it will take you like 30 minutes. But the distances are really great, and everyone drives. And public transportation is not very reliable. So that's a problem, and this is not something I like at all, that you need a car. Because, for example, here where I'm in Europe, you don't need a car. Like, it's nice to have a car if you want to get out and travel, but you don't need it. And over in the US, I think you really, really do. So, let's see. So you do need a car. That was surprising, very surprising to me. Another thing I don't like, but again, it's because of the size of the country, I think, and the streets are bigger. Everything is bigger. So one of the things that was the first thing I noticed, which is my third point here, was the food, how much bigger the food portions are. And then I noticed cars and the other things. So cars are much bigger. And I think a reason why is because people are more comfortable because they're always in a car. So they like to feel safer and more comfortable. So they drive either bigger trucks or they drive these giant vans or SUVs. They're really big and they take up a lot of space. But they can do so because the streets are big too. Streets are wider, so they have more room. So it's easier, but in the same time, it's just big, big, big. It's a little too much for me. And now the food portions. Oh gosh, the food portions are really big. Like, really big. So this is not, if I get a burger and I get something like this, that's not abnormal for me to receive a burger this big on a plate this big. I think they do this for several reasons. I think people like to. I don't think people usually finish these portions. I think it's something to mention because when people go to the US, they say, "Oh my God, how can people eat this much?" I don't think they always do. I think it's because when you pay at the restaurant, they think you get a better value if the food is bigger, and it's actually very customary that people take a lot of their food with them in a to-go bag. So, but it's still, I think there's a lot of food waste because of that if they don't take it. So I don't like that at all. I don't think they need to be that big. So yeah, I just wanted to ask you. Yeah, it's funny because you mentioned peanut butter because I'm going to talk about peanut butter. But Monica, to answer your question and my accent, and yeah, it takes a really long time to become fluent, honestly. So if but that doesn't mean that you're not speaking the language, even if you're maybe not as advanced. The more you speak, the better it is. But it does take, I think it takes a lifetime to be fluent in a language, and I think that's something amazing. That's my view of it. um so so yeah, so the other thing I want to talk about, houses are bigger too. Like they're much bigger than I see here in Europe, and I think that's especially in the suburbs. If you go outside of the bigger cities, so not in if you're in like Chicago or New York, no, that's where spaces are smaller. But in the suburbs, you will see bigger houses, bigger cars, bigger streets, wider, and this is of course because it's a newer country and they had the space for it. Okay. Ooh, this one. So surprising to me. You guys, the country's so huge that if you go from the West Coast to the East Coast, it feels like you're in a different country sometimes. Because of the people, they're so different. Sometimes the accent, the southern accent, is so different than the western accent or the eastern. Um, and also because the geography, I mean, there's in California where I was, there were, there's this, of course, the ocean next to me, but you also have mountains. In Arizona, Nevada, Texas, you have the desert. And then you have mountains and the Rockies in Colorado, for example, and Utah. And so the geography varies quite a lot because it's such a big country, but I think the people are very different. So I was shocked when I went from California to places like Georgia, to see how different people were. It really did feel like a different country. The food is different, I think, very different. In the South, it has its own, there's its own cuisine. Um, Even the northeast was different. So it's just all very very different. It's I don't know if it's good or bad. It was just surprising that because of these big distances, um, that you can have such different experiences. For the ones, if you're asking, my native language is Romanian. Okay. Another thing that surprised me, that I really, some of it is good, some of it is bad, is staying healthy and what it takes to stay healthy. First of all, it's expensive. Staying healthy in the US costs a lot of money because buying organic fruits and vegetables is not cheap. And it's because it's a priority to many people, and especially now, especially where I was, and people realize that, and they up the price, and it is it's expensive. The same with joining gyms, or um, a big craze now is CrossFit, or these kind of like smaller posh gyms. They can be very very expensive. But what I do like about it, that was surprising, that I didn't have in Romania when I was younger, was this idea of being fit as a priority. So, Americans, generally, from what I've noticed, they like the outdoors. They like doing things like hiking and biking and being active and staying active. I really, really like that. I think it's very healthy, and I think they have a lot of natural beauty to go explore, especially I mean everywhere really, but I really really like that, and it was surprising because I didn't expect it. So that was surprising to me. Okay, I have a question for you guys. I'm going to talk about sports, and this is difficult for me because I don't know much about sports, but I'm going to try to cover it. So my question is, what sports are popular in your country? So it's an easy one. I'm sure you know. And I'll tell you about the US in a second. more specifically about college sports. So when I went to university, I was shocked, first of all, that the college had a team. Different teams, in fact. Like they have basketball team, they have football team, they have all kinds of teams for all kinds of different sports, and they compete with other college teams, and it is a big deal. Everyone goes to watch these sports. The schools actually end up making a lot of money off of these sports. People pay a lot of money, and college athletes, are seen as celebrities. So it's very, very important. And it is also a little bit surprising to me how important it is, because I've, when I visited, like I was telling you guys about Georgia and Atlanta, you see college sports flags in people's houses. It's that important to them. Like they constantly ask me, like, "Oh, UCLA, they have a great, uh, what do they have? Like a basketball team?" Or this is bad because I don't know it, because I'm not a sports fan, but it's very important. And Americans take their sports very seriously, and they'll wear hoodies with their sports team on the hoodie, and it's a big thing. It's very surprising. Nothing like this exists where I grew up. So let me see what you guys are doing. Okay, football, curling in Korea. Interesting. Football, badminton, soccer, football. And by football, I'm guessing you mean soccer, right? In the US, like I said, I think basketball is huge, but I think football is probably, and I mean American football, would be the most important sport, or the most watched, I guess. So yeah, I'm looking what you guys are saying. It's pretty incredible, because I have no idea, that I didn't know that the US would be such an important, like, a country that cares so much about sports. And you have people and people, but I think generally speaking, people care a lot more than, um, well, than me. Okay, so let's see. We were talking about a few different things that surprised me. I want to talk about this one, which you might have heard before, but it has to do with drinking alcohol. I think in most countries, the age where it's legal to drink alcohol is 18, but I don't think it's enforced in many places. I know it wasn't in Romania. I don't think in many countries in Europe it is. Well, in the US, things are a little different. First of all, the drinking age is 21. I made a mistake there, but the drinking age is 21. It is strictly enforced, and so, like, if you have to bring an ID even if you're clearly over 21. So I had occasions where I've gone with people, even if you don't actually, sometimes if you go into a place where they might serve alcohol, even if you don't buy alcohol, you might still have to show them your ID. So even if you're clearly older, this was very surprising, because like I said, in Europe, nobody cares. Everyone just lets everyone in. It's not enforced. It doesn't matter. So, let's see. Oh, wow. So we have hockey too. And we have soccer. I see soccer. Soccer, if I'm going back to what you guys are saying, soccer seems to be the consensus of being one of the most important ones. Yeah. In the US, soccer is gaining more popularity, I think, but it's definitely not the most popular sport. I forgot about baseball. I think that's another one that people watch a lot. So there's basketball, American football, and baseball. Okay. I don't know if you guys have seen these or have them, but this concept of a drive-through was totally surprising. I was so surprised. But not just by any drive-thrus, but because of the places that had drive-thrus that I've seen. So, a drive-thru, if you don't know, is a place where you go with your car. You don't get out of the car. You stay inside your car and you talk through a little window from your car. And then for many, so they're common with restaurants where you tell them your order and you drive through the window, you pay, and then they give you your food. That's very common. But what I found very surprising were pharmacies where you'd give them, like, you'd go to the window, give them your prescription, and then they come back and give you your medication. Very strange. And then I've seen banks, like for the ATM, where you go in, pull out again with a card, driving, then you stop, you put in your card, take out money, and then keep driving. So again, very surprising to me. And Starbucks, which is, if you're not sure what it is, Starbucks is an American coffee shop, I guess. It's everywhere now, but you can go again, like, you don't have to stop. You just get your takeaway cup, and then you just keep driving. So I put a picture here of a drive-through pharmacy. It was very, 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 very surprising. Very, very strange. What costs more, gaining or losing weight? Oh, that is a great question. Absolutely, absolutely, losing weight costs a lot more than gaining. It's very easy to gain weight. Food is everywhere and it's cheap, especially fast food it's cheap. So you can it's much easier to buy fast food than to just, purchase everything to make your own food, because it costs time and money. So sadly, gaining weight is a lot cheaper. Okay, we're getting through these. This one's faster. Just an observation I had that I thought was very bizarre. Maybe it's not so strange. Americans like to be comfortable, I think. They're more of a casual people, and I think that this is reflected in sometimes in the use of pajamas. So I've seen people in class when I was a university student and even a high school student, people came in class wearing their pajamas. Very strange, I thought. But it's fairly. I saw it like a lot actually. I don't see it at work. It doesn't happen at work, but definitely in university saw it a lot. At the grocery store, from time to time, you'd see people wearing pajamas. I don't know. Or jammies, as some people like to call them. People like to be comfy. I find it strange a little bit, but sometimes I saw some cute pajamas, so I don't know if you can work it. Okay, so before I show you the next one, I have a question for you, and please answer throughout while I keep speaking. I have a couple more things to show you. But here's my question to you. If you've been to the US, or if you've seen if you've noticed other things about Americans, I would like to ask you, have you noticed, what was something that surprised you about Americans? What was surprising to you? Because these things are surprising to me, but maybe not to other people, or maybe I haven't noticed other things that are surprising to others. So I would like to know, please write it in the comments right now or later. If you've been to the US, what is something that surprised you about the people, about culture, about maybe language? Write it down. We love to see. I'd be so curious to see what you notice. Maybe you agree with my list, maybe you don't. Maybe you've seen something on TV if you haven't been there. What do you think? Okay. So now I want to talk about something very surprising. And this, again, it's personal. Ice. And what do I mean by ice? Americans love ice. Like they are. I feel like they're obsessed with ice. When you sit down at a restaurant, poof, they give you a glass of water, but that glass is going to be full of ice and maybe a little bit of water. Now you may like ice. Maybe you love it. I don't know. I think it's okay, but I think it's too much. But it really is in everything, even in the winter. People like it. Some people chew on it, like they think it's satisfying to crunch on it. I don't understand. This is not something that I get. And I lived there for 15 years and I could never understand American obsession with ice. It and then they give free refills. I don't know if this is something you knew about. Like if you order a drink in many places, they'll bring you another one, another one, another one, and they only charge you for one. But it's like full of ice, so you're probably just getting one drink. I don't know. So when I'm there, I usually ask for a little ice. It's too much for me. So I found this very funny. It's people love it. I don't understand. Yeah, I love ice cream too. See, that's something I love. I again, maybe you love ice, and so that's so maybe this will be great for you. I know Wes, I think he likes it, so I find it funny. This is another thing. That's weird to me. Or surprising, I guess. Peanut butter. Oh my gosh, everyone loves peanut butter. I feel like now I'm okay with it, but I'm only okay with it in different contexts. But when I moved there, everyone was like, "How do you not like peanut butter? What's wrong with you? What? How can you not like peanut butter?" Um, Americans love it. They really, really love it. They eat it on everything: bread, cookies, bagels, chocolate. I like it. I really like it with chocolate, actually. Crackers, oatmeal, and celery, which I find very disturbing. I don't understand. But they really eat it with everything, and I don't understand this obsession with peanut butter. It is everywhere. If you guys don't know, a very iconic American sandwich is the peanut butter and jelly sandwich, which is just jam, kind of. And they just put on the side, it's like peanut butter on a slice of bread. On the other hand, it's like jam or jelly. Put it together and you eat it. It's very strange. um, I like it if it's in a sweet combination. So now I learned to be okay with it. So if it's with chocolate, I love it. If it doesn't have chocolate, I'm like, eh. But I'm not a huge peanut person, but I found it very strange. But I just wanted to mention that I shouldn't be talking too badly about peanut butter because Europeans are obsessed with Nutella, to be honest. We have it everywhere. We love it. We put it on everything, pancakes. We put it on toast. We put it on cookies. We put it in ice cream. So we also have an obsession with a different kind of spread. So I'm not judging. I was just confused. Why peanut butter? Why not almond butter? Or I don't know. I don't know. So if you guys are writing, remember to write down if you've seen. Remember to write down if you've seen any. If you've been to the U.S., if you find anything else that's strange other than my list, because I'd be very, very curious. Okay, and now the last thing that I found a little bit surprising, especially when I moved there, was how many flags there were. A lot of people really like to show their love of their country through flags, and they do this with actual little flags, or with hats, or with bumper stickers, or on like mugs or houses, T-shirts. It's it is a little bit strange to me, but it's there, and I think maybe not so much anymore. But when I moved at a time it was right after 9/11. If you guys know, 9/11 was when the Twin Towers fell. So that was a time when I think a lot of people really felt the need to show their love and their support for America and so on. So that was very strange. I hadn't seen that when before in any place. So that was a little surprising. And of course, in schools, this may be something that you don't know, is that children many times have this thing that they say, which is the Pledge of Allegiance. And it's a short statement about being respectful to the flag. And it's a very interesting thing that I haven't seen. I wasn't used to, and it was certainly very, very, very surprising. So right now I'm still looking through your comments to see if you guys have written anything. So some of you haven't been there. It's well, now you know. Now you know what to expect. Kind of that might surprise you, but maybe it won't because now you know about it. But even if you're writing later, please write down what were some things that surprised you about Americans. Well, that's it for today. Thank you guys for joining. If you found this interesting, if you liked my list, if you disagreed with my list, if you have anything to add, please let me know in the comments. I want to thank you for joining me on this beautiful Saturday, and I hope you have a wonderful day. If you like this lesson, please like it. Please like it and share it with your friends. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you next time.